So I'm going to read a little bit from two stories, and I know I have to watch my time or a hook comes out of a pole and pulls me out. So, and from two stories, one from the one I have in The Sum of Us, Laxamedia's a book that, and I just want to mention that Laxamedia with every anthology makes a donation to a charity that is related to mental health. So that's kind of a cool thing, and they also have mental health type themes. So this particular anthology is on the theme of caregiving, and it is, the story I'm going to read for you is along that theme, and it's called Gone Flying. Old memories are the clearest and the most distracting. Little Sarah B pants on her cot, her skin hot and dry, her fever impervious to drugs and cool baths. I wash her down again anyway, leaving the cool rag on her forehead. It soothes her for a moment. She stills and turns her gaze on me, a rosy cherub with fever-glazed gray eyes and dark ringlets, trusting. The child is dying, and after everything, I am still meant to care. She whimpers once. Her tiny body stiffens, limbs rigid, back arched. Bubbles foam at the corners of her rosebud mouth and drizzle down her cheeks. She thrashes, arms, legs, and torso twisted and impossibly distorted. I sit, watch, wait. The seizure exhausts itself eventually. She collapses back onto the cot, flat and still, empty. The wind winds around the walls of her snug quarters, hurling rain against the panes. Pathetic fallacy, all the more ironic because it's always raining and windy here these days. Just as we're always dying. Everyone but me. A sudden cough and Bee moans, "Nanny, Nanny," raising her arms to me. They say this end stage hurts terribly. The muscles and joints torn by seizure after seizure, the lungs spasming and starving the heart. But we can't spare painkillers for yet another dying toddler. Enough. I draw the drainage tube out of her lungs, fish the oxygenator from her tiny nose, and detach the useless drug pump. I pull her into my lap and clutch her against my bony old chest, as if my feeble one-armed embrace can fend off all the ravaging illness that my genetics have failed to prevent. Her fingernails dig as she grips my flabby dugs. I appreciate the pain. Let's fly, Sarah B. Fly high, rising above our corridors, the dividing fence, the other ISO compounds radiating like wheel spokes from the Met Center. Away, out over the plants, cooling towers, and the abandoned malls, fields, and orchards. Through cool rain prickle over a Spartan forest. Old leaf and crisp pine scents follow us up to the jet stream, cool and fast above the wet clouds, soaring higher yet beyond the earth's blue curve into the magic black. Where next? Swoop up to our big yellow sun, whoop under a flare. Away to the planets, every familiar old rock we've named and loved. Touch ice, hot dust, taste bitter air, feel impotent red gale, spin around moons of a nearby sun, so huge and grand. Finger the gravel of rings and lonely last fragments and out into the spangled black. We'll drift there in the universe, Sarah B. Cool and still and forever, safe. She's limp and heavy on my arm. I listen for another breath. Perhaps the cooling means the fever's broken after all, that she's sleeping. But no, she's gone flying, and I am grounded. The compound clock sings out 06:15. She has just turned 3 years old. I lay her out for the mechanics to pick up and do their pointless autopsy. I run the even more pointless sterilizing routine and leave her little body behind in the isolation room. Time to start the day. Back in the day room, I store away Sarah B's birthday placemat, lifted from the novelty shop's dusty shelves for its happy alligators, hippos, cakes, and candles. I stowed her booster chair in the storage space under the stairs. Now there are 4 settings, stranded aisles of color on a sterile plastic wood sea. A balloon hangs from each chair, but the 5th, Sarah B's favorite purple, is in my hand. Sorrow seizes my throat, and if I let it, there'll follow gobbing snorts of tears and mucus, pointless and futile as existence. My 88 years of seeing home swept away by flame, flood, and war, an eye gouged, an arm torn off, siblings, parents, lovers, and fetuses, slaughtered, starved, executed, aborted. I've survived it all for no reason I can imagine. I've grown accustomed to bedding down on shards of grief, gradually numbed to pain and fear. And now I have the Sarahs to raise, made from my stubborn substance by a few surviving scientists thinking to save our noisy species. Cruelest of all, the children have been put in my care, with too few other humans left to do all that's needed to keep those remaining alive. My 3 functional limbs, 1 eye, lack of relevant skills, and stubborn grip on a life I don't value equip me for the job, it seems. But my Sarahs are dying, just like everyone else. 2 never made it out of the gestation tanks. The second 2 were hardly people, gone before a single year. But B, so bright, so articulate, I thought she might prove to be the best of all I might have been and never was. I thought, well, foolish thoughts. Why should this trouble me? It was always a risk, and I've grown used to waiting out my time in a world emptying of my species, the lifeblood of humanity, leaking away like the air from a balloon hanging forgotten by yesterday's birthday date. Oh, balloons. I squeezed B's balloon against my chest hard and harder, nerves tautening until at last the sphere explodes, a satisfying sting against my arm. Then I go through the motions, a duty machine. I lay out favorite fruits, cut in amusing shapes, pour milk sweetened with honey, and blow up more old balloons to fill in the gap where Sarah B's should be. On and on until Sarah D cries from the doorway, B, G, F, come see, balloons! I wipe my face with my apron and sit them down to celebrate. Sarah G, youngest by a quarter of an hour and roundest of them, falls on her sliced apple with noisy joy, crunching and sucking and scattering skin on her bib. She waves her arms in the air, crying, apple, apple! Sarah F eats with quiet concentration, mutely biting, sipping, swiping, efficiently fueling herself, eyes focused on her plate. Why you not eat you apple, D? Asks Sarah G hopefully. Waiting. We all fall still at the unspoken question. Impatient she believes, she repeats, waiting. She points where Sarah B should sit. Where B? They all turn their faces to me, eyes asking for something I cannot give. Some hope for B, for them. I think of telling them she's gone flying out into the universe to explore it and become one with it, to return to stardust. Sarah F presses her lips together, an expression I've seen in my own mirror. Be sick, be dead, she says matter-of-factly. Don't talk. The others burst into noisy tears. Effie sighs heavily once and then sits with her hands either side of her pretty paper plate, enduring the noise. I wonder why my heart goes on, beat on beat, imprisoned in my stubborn body. I know death, an intimate visitor, but they should not. Wasn't that fun? It does get a bit better. Mostly. It's because some of you kind of look concerned. So, I'm going to read another little bit from the story in Bundoran Press's 49 Parallels.
Yay.
It's a much more cheerful piece. It's just about moral ambiguity and depersonal ambivalence. History of Canada's role in the development of nuclear weapons. A likes the fluffy topics, you know, I just put it on myself. So this is called, it's Canadian alternate history, order. William Davis felt oddly soothed by the featureless cement walls of this cell, barely lit by the single naked bulb hanging from a cord in the center of the room. The wooden chair he waited on had an uneven leg, so that it rocked if he shifted, its dull funk the only sound to penetrate this place. The stillness was the closest thing to peace he had felt in a very long while. All the tumult of the previous months and years, the struggles, the maneuverings, the betrayals, the ever darker deeds, all led to this windowless cement block. He thought back to the day it all began. His superior, John Exeter, was plotting how to eliminate the immigration branch. They'd been delaying entry to foreign engineers requested by the Montreal facility on every ground except the real one, that most of them were Jewish. Immigration, particularly one Inspector Norris, thought they all were. "What do you say, Davis?" he called through the adjoining doorway. "Stick a couple of sticks of dynamite under Inspector Norris's bed? Telegraph a passing U-boat to torpedo Pier 21 and start fresh with a more open-minded crew in Halifax?" Despite the invitation to comment, Davis merely checked to ensure that the padded door to the main corridor remained firmly shut and said nothing. As Mr. Exeter's assistant, his role was to know when silence was golden, and his boss's flights of fancy when tackling obstacles fell into that category. Soon enough, a flurry of more practical orders would burst from Mr. Exeter's office into the reception area Davis occupied, and it would be his job to execute them such that the obstacle would disappear or find itself outflanked. "Davis!" And there it was. "Take this list of names. I want everyone on it cleared. Start by telegraphing the usual to Mr. Norris to see if it'll do any good. Essential to the war effort, the King and his government thank you for your invaluable service, etc., etc. And tell them, top secret, no chatting to the American side about it. They're part of the problem." "Yes, Mr. Exeter." Davis rose, entered his superior's office, and retrieved the document from the desk corner. Exeter was already scribbling, his sleek head bent over his famous green notebook. "Davis!" Davis paused at the door. "We need to tackle the money, people. Howe has wangled budget out of the PM and council, but it's not enough." He fastened his intelligent gray eyes on Davis's. Such an irony that so much manpower, material, and space are needed to split the smallest thing in God's creation. "The tube alloy project, you mean, sir," said Davis. Exeter laid his finger over his lips. "Correction received, Davis. Yes, tube alloys need a great deal of money to develop." He scribbled a few words, crossed them out, scribbled some more. Davis reminded himself to read the briefing on nuclear fission from that fellow Fred Lacey in the National Research Council and waited. When the boss was in this mood, he may as well stay put or he'd be up and down like a jack-in-the-box. The DM tossed his fountain pen onto his blotter, scattering ink in the process. "Something's happening with the Americans, Davis. I've come to expect uncooperative. KG comes as no surprise, but they've fallen silent. Our friend Mr. Jones has ceased answering me at all. The Americans have got very security conscious about the tube alloy project, Mr. Exeter," Davis ventured. "Our crew in Montreal's given up on you. The smart boys are forging ahead on their own. I'd best get down there to see what's what." "Montreal, sir." "Washington. Find me some means of transport and a meeting with Mr. Jones and some money." He glanced up twinkling. "I suppose that last is my job, isn't it?" "Always glad to assist, sir," Davis said. "Shall I draw up a list of those who sought meetings with you over the last few months?" Exeter reared back and peered at him. Davis kept very still, had he been too forward. "Meaning, people who want something might have something to offer?" Exeter asked. Davis tilted his head non-committally. "Here, you sit at this desk and I'll go organize a plane." Davis dropped his chin and started backing out. "It's a compliment, Davis. You've got a brain behind that bland exterior. Yes, make a list. I'll forge one as well. We'll compare notes. Sparks will fly. The Dominion of Canada will ensure that tube alloys make cities shine, ships sail, and new invention burgeon. And the Americans will blow things up." He seized his pen. if we all survive.